Well, I'm not gonna have fun with this video. That's something I know for sure, unlike this whack job of a series and what it was about. Alright, let's get this over with. Welcome to A Man Tries and Explains a Series of JPEGs. On this episode, we're taking a look at my very own series, Case 909. This video is complimentary of somebody named Mr. Shogun, so thanks bud for giving me an idea, because otherwise I would have no idea as to what I would do for my next video. Buckle up boys and girls, this is going to be a long video because we got 33 tapes to review. So grab yourself some soda and some candy or something. We're going to be here a while. So let's properly start with some context to the series. It is autumn of the cursed year of 2020. I had been creating these crappy, no commentary gaming videos that pulled in very few views, to say the least, for a few months after being bored in quarantine. And I was perhaps a little jealous after seeing so many people create their own FNAF VHS tapes. This was when I had my Acer Aspire E5 575G, a signature edition, a business laptop that has taken multiple beatings over the span of quarantine. And yeah, it wasn't doing that good. It wasn't doing so great. It had a dual-core Intel i5 with 8 GB of RAM and 256 gigs of already taken-up storage. So yeah, this wasn't an editing rig by any standard, imperial or metric. Despite all of this, I still had Wondershare Filmora on it, 9 for context, and I had a little bit of experience editing videos. So I quickly downloaded and cobbled together some videos, music, sound effects, and photos, slapped it all together, and well, called it a day. And this was the day that my channel finally pulled in more than 10 views per day. I had a small audience of people who watched these tapes in the beginning due to my 22 subs and the posting of my series creation via a comment on another person's VHS series. I promise you it was not blatant advertisement. And thus my audience was created and my seed was planted. At this time I was stupid enough to believe that I would be able to upload these almost, if not, daily. Yes, I was stupid when I created this series. And remember, I was smooth-brained, and thus, so was this plot of this series. Also, for some of the tapes that are shorter, I might compile into one large section instead of a bunch of smaller ones. At the end, I will have a timeline of when the videos took place, because watching these back in terms of playlist order didn't make much sense to me, so don't worry if you're confused. Trust me, I was too. Let's kick things off with the first tape that I ever created, titled Tape Number 2, Case 909. The reason it's named stupidly is because the tape on my channel right now is a re-upload, and I treated the trailer for the series as a tape in and of itself. Again, smooth-brained. This tape essentially established that somebody died by spring lock via this horrendous image. Who is it? No clue. When did this happen? Not entirely established. Again, daily tapes would not have a good plot by any means, to say the least. Next was possibly one of the best viewed tapes, the Fredbear's Family Diner commercial. It was supposed to be this ordinary commercial that was partially hijacked by a ghost to warn people not to go after its own death. And fun fact, if I could show you where the building is that I used in one of the photos, I would. But unfortunately, Google Maps is doing this. Yep, next tape. So it was around this time that somebody in my comment section commented something along the lines of, "Man, your videos look so cool. I wish I knew how to make FNAF VHS tapes." I responded with an offer that I would make a video for him. So I got to work with it and eventually published the first of my how-to videos. Somehow, nobody before me, to my knowledge, created a real guide as to how an individual could create a FNAF VHS tape. I don't know why, considering how easy it was for my lizard brain to make the guide, but oh well, I ain't complaining. I certainly wasn't with the view counts though. I hope you're enjoying this episode, because I'm not entirely. If you are, like and sub would be very nice, along with notifications. And if you have already, thank you, I appreciate it. To those who haven't, I hope your socks get wet. Anyways, back to A Man Explains a series of JPEGs. Thank you. The employee PSA tape was next and essentially announced a silent closing of the Fredbear's Diner, with the death of a kid being swept under the rug. This was where the curse of Fredbear would kind of start, or at least it was supposed to. The original music I used for this was Tanaka Yori's 2019 album City Lights 2nd Edition. And then the whole Stop DMCA thing happened, and I absolutely pissed myself over the fact that I might get sued over having the music in, so yep, that's also a re-upload. The CIA tape was when the supposed CIA would launch an investigation into the diner incident, where a special somebody would be investigated about the murder. The voicemail in this tape was, I think, the first time I ever used my voice in one of my tapes. Of course, with it being pitched way, way down. Because I was scared. Afton Robotics was kind of like an advertisement tape for other companies. You could tell I put my heart and soul into the series by how well I did with spelling and grammar. This tape also announced when Freddy Fazbear's Pizza would open up, also hinting at a possible tragedy in the making. Ooh, foreshadowing. Can't wait for that to lead to nowhere. Situations was simply an employee training tape on what to say or do about Fredbear's family diner, and how the dead kid who was stuffed into Fredbear was still haunting the premises. Tape 8, stupidly named 6, is a follow-up on what to do in certain emergency situations like a fire. Then it cuts to "if he comes," which the instructions imply to kill him immediately. When watching this back, I forgot that I put this loud-ass tone that sounded like an Amber Alert, and I promptly removed it. Night 4 was a recording from one of the guards about Phone Guy dying and how it was supposed to be implied that certain doom would be spelled for anybody who walked into the office. Not much plot connection. Strangely enough, I decided to have a premiere for this tape. I never had a premiere for any of the tapes except maybe the trailer, if I recall correctly. So I don't know why this one got a premiere. Till the party was simply foreshadowing something spooky that was supposed to happen at the pizzeria. It's also where I did a spooky editing mistake where the great-looking 1080p free download flames went above Springtrap. Graphic design is my passion. I think the final instructional tape was the start of the Lost Tapes branch of my series. It was essentially the same thing, but way more damaged. The first tape outlined how the doors worked, essentially, and then after it showed the function of the light, it cut away to the phrase, "he's always watching," and then to Springtrap. Lost Tape 1 was the first time I would play around with 3D software, and the last time I would play around with Blender, opting instead for Source Filmmaker because I am a little small boy who did not have the time, will, or anything else to learn how to properly use Blender. Wait, no, I tell a lie, there's another in the form of the Night Guard introduction. This was where it starts getting confusing when you watch them in the playlist order, because the tape implies that Freddy's has already closed down. Again, smooth brain plot. This tape essentially told us that nobody was making it out alive from the second pizzeria, and how the new animatronics were way cooler and more secure, man. 11/14/1987 revolved around the incident that happened at Freddy's, which was when Foxy bit down on a kid's head being bit down, and the fake news article that appears from a fade was typed by me and nearly had the wrong date on it. Again, you could really tell I love the series. Then it's told that it was an accident from the dead child, apparently. Lost Tapes 2 was essentially just a cry for help with No Hope telling us that there was no salvation, with No Hope finally giving us a name to grab onto. It only took us about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tapes for us to get a name. Charlie. And I didn't specify as to who. Good job, me. You twat. Security footage was the second time I would use my voice to carry the video, with the plot of this video occurring a little after Night 4, with a night guard finding out what the animatronics can do and nearly getting killed by one. Also, even despite what some of you might say, which I am very grateful for, I freaking hate my voice in general, and especially in the video.
Let's finish this. Where the fuck are you?
Matter of Time was a farewell message to the pizzeria that showed that even more children were trapped, with this tape being the first time I used that stupid ass dysfunctional code that I can't tell if I was sober or not when I wrote it. That's a joke, YouTube. That is a joke. That is a joke. You'll see why I talk down on this code so much later. Lost Tape 4 showed us the death of a security guard at Fredbear's Family Diner via SFM photos in the style of old security cams. This was supposed to be the incident that caused Fredbear's to close down in this universe. Now, for the next few tapes, I had a difficult time trying to understand what on earth I was trying to do. Dug Up lays out that now Fazbear Frights is being opened up on Halloween in 1998, with my worst tape, In the Light, being a follow-up showing someone just walking into a building. I have no idea who this guy is in the tape, and I never go back to it. So this tape will just stay out of the timeline until I can find out what I meant to do with this tape. Day 2 of On the Job involves me talking to a buddy on the phone about getting an animatronic for Fazbear Fright. That animatronic later being Springtrap, of course, with me foolishly saying that I'm free on Saturdays. Silly me, I'd never. The findings are almost completely useless if not for the fact that it gives us the name of Ben, second name, in maybe 20 or so tapes. Yeah, if it wasn't for the name giving, this tape would be completely useless, unfortunately. Unknown Dangers is a follow-up for the findings, for some reason. The news broadcast reports the murder of Ben, plus the headline on the gray bar is a cheap, helpless message that I thought was cool, along with an actual video rental store going bankrupt, apparently. This tape gave us more stupid Morse code. But this tape was also where I got the idea to give my channel the theme of a TV news channel, and the eventual creation of the GSN network. I just realized I said that completely wrong, and you know what? I'm not going to be bothered to fix it. This next one is not as great as the others, to say the least. This one stupidly has the famous words of, "I put you back together, my son," even though I didn't tie it in any way that would be relevant to the plot. Very close on the border of a throwaway tape. Hopefully I'll find a reason as for how this ties back in or something, whether whilst I'm writing it or maybe even whilst I'm recording this. Interrupted Broadcast actually hinted at how Springtrap would make a comeback at the end of the series in the form of my crap Morse code. I also unfortunately don't know who this fellow is that's being, I assume, strangled in the tape, but, well, we don't know. He's just some rando. He's just your average Joe who came home from work one day and just got screwed over. Finally, the tape I view most fondly of, the refurbishment tests, which involved Foxy being evaluated with movement, with this tape having the most effort in the series by far. This tape is the actual final training tape with Foxy being tested before being sold, with a reference to the accident in 11/14/1987. Once again, this tape is the one I'm most proud of due to the movement in SFM that I used. It actually looks pretty decent. Tape 29 gives us the name of Noah and tells us how he apparently played ignorance. The end teases us that it will all come back, again relating to the finale. Essentially a more useful version of our next tape, Trauma. Hey, so remember when I said that the findings was almost a throwaway tape? Well, I actually remember why I made Trauma. And that's because of the fact that Ben was supposed to be the boy in the tape that was in the FNAF 4 bedroom. So, yeah, believe it or not, I wasn't a complete dumbass when creating these tapes. Just a nearly complete one. About 95, maybe 94% there. The fourth and final lost tape refers to Williams' murders after giving context as to where he grew up. The document has unfortunately been deleted, but the document essentially outlined Williams' crimes, him denying, and at the end, dropping Henry's name as Williams' possible accomplice. Last Hope refers to how there is only one hope in defeating William, with Ben being that hope of ending this nightmare, and by extension, Case 909. So before I talk about the final tape, let's talk about one of the most neglected aspects of this channel for just a moment. The code. I thought it was cool to have one to hint towards something bigger, but I didn't just want to use a typical number code or reverse the order of letters like A equaling Z. Nah. I wanted to do something original, and decided to create, this atrocity. I genuinely don't know what I could say other than it's complete and utter dog water. I have no clue or context as to why I made the code like this. What made it the slightest bit worst is that I neither showed all of the code, and not all of it was shown in the Case 909 series. I have a feeling I just completely forgot about the whole thing, and even when I remembered, I probably realized that there was no way I could save it. I took one look at that thing, and I thought, oh hell no, I'm not getting any use out of that. Finally, we've reached the final tape of the saga, aptly named Finale Tape. The finale of this series are two people that I got off of thispersondoesnotexist.com depicting Ben and William as dead and unknown. I'll explain why William is classified as unknown later. And if you were wondering why Ben died via a hail of lead, well, nobody knew better that Ben was just trying to save his people. So, nobody knew what he was truly doing. That's a stupid move now that I think about it. I could have just let him burn in the building. But oh well. I didn't. Again, smooth-brained of me. And thus, file case 909 as closed. Alright, so now we've talked about the tapes, let's make a chronological timeline as to when each tape happened. First off, we have the Fredbear's Family Diner commercial with Lost Tape 3 as a follow-up, and giving a reason for the employee PSA tape. After this, the CIA tape would show that an investigation was underway, an aspect of the series I could have expanded on. Wah, wah. I have a feeling that Lost Tape 4 would come after this, as it shows the trial recordings for William. At the same time, despite what the timestamp says, ignore that, the findings and unknown dangers would occur, with trauma having been in critical condition. Quickly putting Fredbear's under the rug, Afton Robotics would be next to try and start a new business in '87, with Situations and Tape 6, really 8, both being next. The first Lost tape would be the first tape for the new Fazbear location, and as Night 4 and security footage 03/25/1988 give us a reason to suspect that Freddy's isn't going any better than Fredbear's. We get Till the Party to confirm that scary event with lore error featuring yours truly, Springtrap. Not Safe and Fresno would essentially show us how the victims were claimed. Lost Hope and Lost Tape 2 would be before refurbishment test, with 11/14/87 following close behind, with Matter of Time capping off Fazbear's original run. Night Guard intro would key us into the new Freddy's location until Blindly the Blind, and Tape 29 would show us that Freddy Jr.'s was not long for this earth. Also, I completely forgot about Blindly the Blind and a couple of the other tapes. Specifically Blindly the Blind due to the sheer laziness of it and the fact that it's not on the playlist. So sorry for the tapes that I missed talking about. After closure of Freddy Jr.'s, Dug Up, Tape 25, Interrupted Broadcast, and Day 2 on the Job would show us the next location. This one I focused heavily on, home of Quite's crush, Fazbear's Fright. Of course, that leaves us with two important tapes, those being Lost Hope and Finale Tape, to end the series as of now, with two partially unconfirmed deaths. I believe the only tape I didn't include was In the Light due to the lack of importance it served. As I uploaded that faithful video to YouTube, I felt a little sad seeing as how I was saying goodbye to one of my biggest successes, even with me knowing that I'd have to end it one day. But in the back of my mind, I always kept the idea of keep the story open, an open idea. Yes, this is indeed sequel baiting, but with school about to go back into session and just with my current schedule in general, that leaves little time to do so. Plus, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't want to do a sequel to Case 909 at the moment. I wanna try new video genres, topics, formats, styles, dip my toes in the water. I guess, looking back on it, the series wasn't complete crap, just out of order. Which probably didn't help, but I'm sure some of you were interested in trying to figure out this series. And you know what? If you were, I'm glad you were. You've probably heard me say this a million times, and it might be cliche at this point, but you know what? I don't care. I still can't tell you how much I appreciate you all. How I appreciate how much you've supported me through this journey, and how you've continued to support me now. Seeing the view counts rise up, seeing the lovely comments and the questions, it made that my work wasn't unseen. I'm sorry I've gotten lazy these past few months, and throughout this entire channel's run, really. I can't justify it, really. I'm quite a procrastinator, and this channel has been a big challenge for that, as well as my creativity. It's a battle I'm losing, and it's really sad. But you know what? That doesn't mean I'm gonna stop. Because after this video goes live, I'm thinking about topics I can make a video about. Maybe another train wreck, possibly. So hopefully something comes to mind sooner rather than later. July was a busy month for me, due to my involvement in a musical production that took up all my energy, and almost a month. But for the most part, it's mostly because of my procrastination that this channel has had an extremely weak upload schedule, to say the least. Time will tell as to whether or not I will or won't win this war, but hey, we can always hope for the best, and thus, I will. For now, I'm still golden, you're all still amazing, and I shall be heading out. Peace, putas. I'll see you all later.
It never happened.